Hello and welcome to Vyas, India's higher education channel. I am Ramesh Menon. I have been a journalist for the last 31 years and have worked across print, television and the internet. One thing that has helped me in doing well is the ability to conduct interviews. If you can be a good interviewer, you will be far ahead of your competitors as a journalist. More than anything else, you will be the one getting the best news and feature stories in our newsroom. Now, let us see how we can develop and master the art of interviewing. Why is it so important to master the art of interviewing? Interviews are crucial to your work as a journalist, and it is at the heart of information collection. Ask any good reporter, he or she will tell you how interviews have helped them every day. Okay friends, let us look at how we can master the art of interviewing. Believe me, it is not as difficult as it seems. If you were asked by your journalism teacher to go out and conduct an interview with the first person that you came across on the street, you will be a bit hesitant, won't you? Why does this happen? This is because we do not know what to ask and are apprehensive of how the person will react. Will he or she reject us or welcome us? Will they think we are wasting their time? These and numerous other questions will naturally arise in our mind. But do not worry. All these fears will vanish once you master the art of interviewing. Once you have confidence, you will love going out and conducting interviews. Let us see some positive things that our personalities can experience when we go out and conduct interviews. One of the biggest rewards is meeting interesting people. Journalists have easy access to personalities who are celebrities, performers, writers, intellectuals, politicians, businessmen, actors and so on. When one meets them and talks on various issues, the journalist also learns a lot about the subject. One day, he or she is interviewing an economist and so gets to learn about economic realities. Another day, it might be a politician who is talking of the changing political culture of India. The third day, it might be a sociologist who is talking about how Indian society is evolving into a new paradigm. It could also be a slum dweller talking about the pressures of daily life. All these experiences are extremely educative in nature. No wonder journalists are generalists who know something about everything. It is interviews that they make them more intelligent than the commoners. That is why you would find that journalists can talk about every subject on earth. Those who do not have the fortune to meet such interesting people every day and interview them actually feel that journalists have such a wonderful job on hand. The process of doing excellent interviews, first and foremost, is the fact that you can never do a great interview without doing some solid research on the subject that you are dealing with. If you want to interview someone on India's space program, for example, you must know everything about the space program. When did it start? Who were the brains behind it? What has been achieved? Why has it failed? What international breakthroughs have we achieved? Where does India stand in the global scenario? What foreign collaborators are being worked out? What is the future of Indian program and so on? It's answers to these questions that give you material to write. The person who is being interviewed will be impressed by your diligent research and will be very cooperative and will answer all your questions. But if you are not well read on the subject and you have not done your research properly, then no one will want to talk to you on the subject, as they would fear that you would not even understand what they are saying. they will have no confidence in you and will try to wriggle out of the interview. They will make lame excuses. For example, they would tell you how busy they are and how they have no time for the interview. If it is just a personality interview, then you must know everything possible about the person. Thoroughly research the person whom you are interviewing. Read up on him or her from old newspaper and magazine articles. Talk to the personality's friends, peers and colleagues. They will give you a deep insight into the person. Good research will help you to ask searching questions. Why is research so crucial in interviewing? Research is crucial, as only then will you have a grip on the subject. If you have researched the subject well, you will have a confident manner. You will enter the room more confidently. Your body language will show your confidence. Even your voice will change and your manner of asking questions will be different. Research is the key, and always you will realize once you have done your research well, you will do a great interview. Where do you do your research? Sources, those are the contacts that you have. Libraries, which will give you lots of books. Organizations that are dealing with the subject. Experts in that particular field. Think tanks, this is basically a group of people who are experts in that area and who work together. And lastly, the internet. I deliberately put the internet as the last point, as most of us today are just too lazy to try anything else. The easiest thing in the world is to go to Google and search a subject. But if you become a slave of that kind of research, you are definitely inviting trouble. A lot of stuff on the internet is not updated. A lot of material is not properly sourced. You have no idea whether it is true or not. You may stumble on an opinionated piece and think that this is information. If you pick up anything from the internet, please double check its authenticity and credit the site from where you have picked up the information. It is always good to double check everything that you pick up from the internet. Interviews help to make dull writing interesting. It can make boring subjects come to life. Readers or viewers are interested in what people are saying or feeling about a particular subject. They also remember great quotes. It makes people think more deeply. It gives readers a better perspective. Good interviewers do not dash into an interview and start asking questions. You must first make the person very comfortable. You must strive to create comfort level using casual conversation, eye contact and comfortable body language.
I welcome you all to the Tryst with the Apatanis. Today we are going to venture into the not so much known territory of the Apatanis. They are one of the most ethnologically interesting tribes of Arunachal Pradesh. In 1944, for the first time when the government outpost was set up, the Apatanis came in contact with the world. Today we have with us Mr. Nitin Sethi, who is associated with the Down to Earth magazine as an assistant editor. He is also the first winner of the SNES Setu Fellowship for reporting issues on the Northeast. It's good to have you here. Welcome to the show, Nitin.
Introduce yourself confidently, describe which organization you belong to, why the interview is being done and what it hopes to achieve. Once you do this, there will be a comfort level. Build a rapport. Strive to create a comfort level. The person being interviewed must feel very comfortable with you. They must feel that he or she is safe in your hands. One way to do this is to be yourself. Do not pretend. There is no point pretending that you are very intelligent when you are not. Any smart person can look through you. So, the best policy is to just be yourself. Make the person feel secure. Give the feeling that you are not the kind of journalist who would turn and twist facts. Ask simple, straightforward questions to begin with. If you do not understand some idea or concept that is being talked about, ask for an explanation. There is no point in saying, "Ha, that is right," even when you do not understand. Allow a smile to play on your face if there is something funny happening. Be as natural as possible. Interview outcomes often depend on the kind of questions that you are asking. That is why planning your interviews and questions in advance is necessary. Asking questions on the spur of the moment is excellent, as it keeps the flow going in a very natural way. But have all the basic questions lined up on a sheet of paper so that you do not forget the questions. Often the interview becomes so exciting, and in the excitement we forget the crucial questions that we should have asked. But if you write it all down systematically on a piece of paper, you ensure that you will get all the responses that you want. I once went for an interview with Jaipal Reddy, who, as all of you know, is a well-known Congress leader. I told him that I wanted a great interview. He immediately responded by saying that it all depends on your questions. How right he was. So it all depends on what you ask and how you ask it. Foolish questions elicit foolish answers. Vague questions elicit vague answers. Intelligent questions elicit intelligent answers. Pointed questions get pointed answers. Ask the most embarrassing question last. You need to be patient. Even if they refuse to answer your last tough question, you at least have the rest of the interview. If the subject is sensitive in nature, many will naturally avoid talking. It is your job as a good reporter and as a good communicator to get them to open up. Tell them that it is in their interest to talk and clear the air, or explain to them why their point of view is very important, and it is important for them to talk, as people will understand and empathize with the issue. You also need to be empathetic. If you are sincere, the sources will know that you have compassion, and they will find it easier to open up and talk. A lot of the skill in interviews is in just being open to what they are talking and telling you. It is very disturbing to see television reporters who often go to a scene where a tragedy has occurred and ask victims how they are feeling. We need to be very sensitive as good journalists to other people's feelings. The way you deal with sources depends on whether they are public or private individuals. Public officials are accustomed to dealing with the media as they are accountable. Reporters expect them to talk, and rightly so. But when you deal with private individuals, you need to operate with more sensitivity. Reporters who display extra sensitivity usually end up getting the best interviews. It is far better to have a conversation instead of just asking questions. Instead of just asking questions one after the other, it would be a better idea to have a conversation instead. It is more engaging and relaxed for both you and the interviewer. People will love to talk if they find you engaging in a conversation which they can also learn from you. That is why it is important for you to have worthwhile ideas to discuss. Remember, we spoke about research. This is exactly the reason why you should do research. Make it stimulating for both of you. You will often have to go and interview experts. This is not easy, as they expect you to know everything. Experts hate explaining. Experts hate it if you do not understand what they are trying to say. Experts hate it when you are not done even the basic research. Experts may have king-size egos, and you should know as a good communicator how to massage it. Do not get upset by the way experts interact with you. Look at it from the expert's point of view, and you will understand why they are the way they are. They have little time to waste on educating you. So, you must use all the charm that you have on hand to get them to deliver what you want. Often, experts talk a lot of jargon which the common man cannot understand. Ask them to break down the jargon into simple terms. Convince them politely that it is the only way to reach the common man. Do not get overawed with celebrities. You will often meet people in positions of power, people who are famous, people who are movers and shakers in society. Do not get overawed when you meet them. If you do, you will not be able to be subjective in your judgment. Just look at them like normal people and tell yourself that you are just doing a professional job. Don't let your jaw drop just because you are with Salman Khan or with Aishwarya Rai. Go to a courtroom. It may be a good idea for you to go to a courtroom and carefully watch how lawyers ask questions, counter questions, and cross-examine a witness. It is a good way to learn how to ask sharp questions after an answer and how to ask supplementaries. While the interviewer is talking, keep thinking of what he or she is saying, so that you can get ready with the next question that is related. As you take notes, actively think of what you are going to ask next. Let us now look at what I would call are the 10 commandments of interviewing. The 10 commandments of interviewing are: listen, prepare, focus, feel, pounce. By that I mean be aggressive if you need to be aggressive. Listen, 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 listen. Was that a mistake that I was making, saying listen 6 times? Why did I repeat it again and again? Most of us are very bad listeners. We want to talk all the time and be heard. But journalists must master the difficult art of listening. It is a very important tool. People will talk to you only if you listen. Without perhaps realizing it, journalists during interview talk a lot as they know so much about the subject. In the process, they lose out on asking relevant and crucial questions. You must listen, and you will then get good interviews. But that does not mean that you blindly listen. Many people often ramble away from the subject and talk incessantly. They need to be politely guided back to the subject and the focus of discussion. Be a critical listener. That is what is most important. You should learn the art of critical listening. Evaluate what the source is saying. Does a point need to be elaborated further? If you listen for meaning, you can direct the interview instead of letting the source control it. Be responsive. Make eye contact frequently so that your source knows that you are listening. Your eyes can work like magic. When you use facial expressions and ask questions naturally, it shows that you are responding to what is being answered. Should a tape recorder be used? Using a tape recorder is quite useful. I use a digital recorder while conducting interviews. It helps me to concentrate on what is being said, plan my next question and get every word accurately. You cannot go wrong with a tape recorder, but remember this, it is after all a machine and can malfunction. So, it is always wise to take notes while the recorder is recording. Advantages of a tape recorder: it is factual, you can maintain good eye contact, you have a record of what has been said. Disadvantages of using a tape recorder: most people do not open up after they see they are being recorded. Technology can fail, tapes can break and machines can fail. Digital tape recorders can pick up a virus. I recently did a 2-hour interview with a well-known author. When I got back with my digital recorder and jacked it onto my computer to download the voice files, I was shocked to find that it had contracted a virus. But I had taken very detailed notes and could write out the entire interview very easily. A tape recorder cannot be a substitute for good notes. Dress smartly. It is important that you dress smartly. It is a fact of life that people often judge you on the way you look. The first impression should not be that you are sloppy and careless. If you are smartly dressed, it will also send out a message that you are serious. Do not give up. You often find that it is difficult to get an appointment, but do not give up. Keep trying till you get the interview. Develop your persuasive skills. Many celebrities refuse the initial requests for interviews, but agree to it later, as they also want publicity and media coverage to boost their image and careers. They just like to be chased by reporters. So, keep at it till you get the interview. After all, you win by getting the interview. Now, let us look at what I call are the 10 R's of interviewing. The first one is receive. It is best to ask open-ended questions. Do not interrupt as far as possible. Receive as much information as possible. Second, relieve. Try to be empathetic. Relieve anxiety by changing the subject. The third one is reflect. Ask yourself if you have got the details right. Fourth, regress. Go back to some of the questions that were not answered properly or were avoided. The fifth one is reconstruct. Going back to the scene can help. You can get the person to reconstruct the incident or memory. The sixth one is research. Helps you ask the right questions, meaningful questions and stressful questions. The seventh one is review. Check and recheck all the facts and quotes. The eighth one is resolve. Address any misunderstanding and discrepancies so that the next interview with the same person will not be affected. The ninth one is retire. Give the other person a chance to add comments. End on a positive note. Tell them how to contact you. The 10th one, of course, is record. Get everything on record. Learn to talk on the telephone. As all of us have telephones, we assume that we know how to talk on the telephone, but most of us talk very badly. Talking on the telephone is an art. Watch yourself as you talk on the phone today. You will realize that your responses are just too casual. It does not sound professional. Many of us do not even complete our sentences. We do not modulate our voice and pay attention to the content and grammar when we speak. The person on the other end cannot see you, but you need to use all the charm that you have. Your voice modulation and the words that you choose matter a lot. You need to exude warmth on the telephone. Your warmth as a person must travel through the line. Your sincerity must come through. And when that happens, see how people open up to talk to you. Network with secretaries. It is very important that you build a rapport with secretaries of the celebrities that you want to interview. They are the gatekeepers who always try to keep the gate closed. They are tougher to handle than the celebrities and will often say that their bosses are busy when they are not. Persuade them with all your sincerity of purpose and friendly attitude. Win them over with your charm and public relations. Practice, practice, and practice interviews. If you ever want to become a good interviewer, the best way is to start practicing today. The more interviews you do, the better you will become. You learn how to negotiate with personalities, how to get the worst out of them. You learn how to scrape their personalities under the screen, which is so different. It is only a smart interviewer who will be able to do this. In the end, let us conclude on what we must keep in mind when we go out for interviews. Preparation. Prepare for the interview well with research. Clear purpose. Have a clear purpose on why you are doing this interview. Then your focus will be sharp and clear. Effective style of questioning. Ask the right questions. Be persuasive. Cajole people to talk. Ask tough questions when the need arises. Stories and anecdotes. Interviews can get very boring if there are no stories or anecdotes. Create space for these stories to spread themselves in your interview. Create spontaneity and moments. Look for opportunities to bring in spontaneity and moments so that there is a natural feel. So, get started today itself with your first interview. Employ these techniques and see how your interviews will start to sparkle. Hope you enjoy your interview sessions and actively learn from them as you go along. Just be confident and have a positive attitude. See you again soon on Vyas, India's educational channel that aims at making learning easy, accessible and enjoyable. Goodbye and best of luck.